Good morning and welcome to Jorge Sotolongo, legislative candidate for District 7. I want to thank you for joining us for our virtual legislative candidate meetings. My name is Gina Ragland, and with us today are lead advocacy volunteers for AARP, Susan DeCamp, Bob Lassen, Danny DeLong, and our state president, Dave Holmquist. We appreciate your taking the time to meet and discuss issues of importance to the 50-plus voter in Nebraska. And as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be shared with AARP members across your district prior to the election. Jorge, if you want to start us off by giving us a little background about yourself and your campaign, and we're aiming for 5 minutes or less on that. And once we have completed your opening, then we'll move into the questions.
Sure. So my name is Jorge Sotolongo. I am 32 years old, and I live in South Omaha, Nebraska area on 24th Street with my wife and my 7-month-old daughter. We just had our first child this year. So a little quarantine baby, which has been fun. So actually I was, while I grew up in Omaha, I was born in Puerto Rico. And so my father's Cuban, my mother's Puerto Rican. I was born in Puerto Rico, and then we got to Omaha in about 1990. I was about 2 years old. And my parents came because they were pursuing medical careers. And so my father is now an OBGYN. My mother went to Creighton for residency when we got here, and now she's a family medicine physician. And so, I'm kind of the son of two doctors, which has been kind of great. I saw my parents work very hard in life, and that got me interested in medicine. It got me interested in science. So actually, when I went to college, I got a biology degree in also pre-medical studies. I studied some French, and then I never used any of it, and I went to business instead. So that was always kind of an interesting journey for me. But at one point, I finished my studies, I finished my degree and everything just because I wanted to finish it, and I did enjoy the sciences quite a bit. But I decided I want to get my MBA and go into business. I thought it was more my personality, and so I, cautiously went to my father while he was in the doctor's lounge at, I think it was Mercy Hospital, and I brought him all the MBA stuff. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go get my master's in business," and he was kind of freaked out for a second there, but I came prepared, so that was good. And anyway, I had a great experience at UNO for my MBA, and I've really enjoyed being involved with them ever since. I was on the Dean's Advisory Council. I worked at the NBDC, which is the Nebraska Business Development Corporation. Yes, exactly, center, I should say, helping small businesses and in the realm of government contracts. And so I got exposed to the government contract world. And then after that, I actually moved to Austria for about nine months to finish my MBA there through a program at UNO, which is phenomenal. I had an amazing experience. I worked out there. I finished my studies, and then finally came back to Omaha, entered commercial real estate, and I've been doing that for the last 3 years. In doing that, I've rushed, I've been involved in economic development in Omaha. I've held board seats at the mayor's office. I still hold that today. And all of those things kind of got me prepared to run for office. I didn't know it at the time, but it was really starting to interest me. And then I got a couple nudges here and there saying, "Hey, we'd love somebody to run in District 7. And I lived on 24th Street at the time. I thought it was a great fit. I think I have great intimate knowledge of the district itself. And so I thought, let's go for it. And that's where I find myself here today. I don't have any prior political experience, which I think is a good thing. So that's kind of my pitch.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that opening. And we have provided to you a set of the 3 questions that we feel are pertinent issues that relate to the 50-plus voter in Nebraska. And so we have allotted 5 minutes for each of those questions, and the volunteers around the screen here are going to be the ones asking the question. Question 1 will come from Dave Holmquist, who is our state president, and it will be surrounding helping people stay in their homes and communities. So Dave, go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. A livable community is one that is safe and secure, has housing that is affordable, in other words, no more than 30% of income spent on housing, transportation options that allow individuals to travel by multiple means, and supportive community features and services for people of all ages, which allow people to remain in their communities as they age. What steps will you take, if elected, to ensure all Nebraskans have access to livable communities?
I really am interested in this question because I feel like it sits in a little bit of my wheelhouse. I work with commercial real estate developers and am involved in conversations about affordable housing quite a bit. I think that senior living developments right now have been very attractive projects. And I think if we can make it easier, decrease some of those barriers to getting those things developed, that would be a big help toward creating senior living centric communities. We're seeing not only just multifamily being built for 50 and 55 plus, but we're also seeing districts like, for example, Old Town Bellevue potentially growing around a senior community as opposed to a millennial community like Blackstone or somewhere else, some other trendy part of town. And I think that is an actual market that is underserved and has a lot more potential. I mean, you've got a group of people with discretionary income, although they have to be, they have to have an affordable place to live, but they've also saved up money over the years. They've worked, and I think it's a great community to serve. And so I would say empowering, pro-growth legislation that could help empower and incentivize communities like that being built would be a priority for me. And it already fits sort of a pro-growth mindset that I would bring to the legislature in other areas. So I think if we want to build it, we've got to make it profitable to build and decrease those barriers to entry. That would be one way that I would do that.
Great. Thank you, Jorge. Our second question will come from Susan DeCamp, another of our lead advocacy volunteers, and it surrounds health, caregiving, and home and community-based care. Susan, go ahead.
Good morning, Jorge. It's nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Caregivers help older persons live independently at home by providing assistance with activities such as bathing and dressing and performing medical and nursing tasks such as administering medication and wound care. Caregivers often provide these services with little or no training as well as little or no pay. So with that in mind, I have a two-part question. First, would you support helping caregivers with paid leave, respite services, telehealth, and access to education and training? And secondly, how would you protect or expand paid services and supports, as well as financial security that allows more seniors to live independently in their homes and communities?
I'll address the first question because I think it's a workforce issue, and I see a lot of great solutions to many workforce issues we have in Nebraska and Omaha. Taking care of the elderly is a great career, and it's a fulfilling, honorable thing to do. And I think that we can create career paths for people, young people, in different areas. I mean, I'll talk about South Omaha. That's where I lived. I can't tell you how many young men and women there would be amazingly capable of taking care of Nebraska's aging population. And if we look in the future, we see Nebraska's 65 plus population growing. And so I think we need to really address this because the trends, are speaking for themselves at this point. And so maybe elevating that conversation as well, making people aware that we are an aging population in Nebraska would be very important. That maybe addresses the second question, which is how do we support, I guess, these activities. And I would say we need to elevate the conversation and tell people the facts that, hey, we are seeing, by this year, we're going to see this many Nebraskans that fall into the category of 65 plus. And that's why it's important to take care of these folks. And again, I think you can make it an economic development argument in that we can create amazing jobs that are well paid, and that we're sort of funneling these workers from new areas, new employment bases like South Omaha, like North Omaha. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I know there's a fair amount of, rehabilitated people like from the prison system that have entered this industry. I don't know how AARP or how the facilities feel about this, but I think it could be a really great way to help people, society. Just a couple of ideas that I think would help address those issues.
Great. Thank you very much for your answer.
Appreciate it.
And our last question will come from Bob Lassen, and this will circulate around nursing facility quality. Bob, go ahead.
You were talking about the expanded growth of the seniors, and an estimated 6,600 Nebraskans reside in one of Nebraska's 211 nursing homes. By 2040, the University of Nebraska Omaha projects that number will more than double to almost 14,000. Due to a variety of factors over the past few years, Nebraska has seen an increase in nursing facilities having to close. And then the residents, of course, would have to be moved to different areas, in some cases in the rural environment, to different areas of the state. How will you ensure that Nebraska residents receive quality nursing home care, including ensuring an adequate nursing force, education, and training, and proper reimbursement?
Well, I think one way, of course, would be to support legislation that directs more funding to these facilities and programs that subsidize them. I think that's one factor. It's got to be a multi-factor approach. The other one I would say would be, let's take a look at the regulations that they're facing in these industries and these facilities. Is that costing money? Could they be removed, saving these facilities the money so that they could use it to pay people better wages, so that they could lower rates or keep them competitive, so that families could actually afford to send their families to members to these centers? That's a couple different, sort of maybe contrasting approaches that I would take, but I think it's going to take several different approaches. That's just a couple ideas I have off the bat.
Well, you did mention earlier trying to increase the workforce, and I think that that's a big step in this particular portion of the industry also.
Agree. I mean, it's a great job, and we've got a lot of people that are capable of doing that job. I think there's going to be a need for bilingual workforce as well, which we have. Nebraska, has seen a lot of immigration, which is another big reason why I decided to run, is that I sit firmly planted in my Latin American culture and a Latin American community in Omaha. South Omaha is a majority Hispanic district, which is kind of amazing. So again, I just see an opportunity there to sort of funnel people into these facilities as great workers that are capable of helping our aging population, especially as they start to become multilingual, multicultural themselves.
Yep.
Great. Thank you for that answer, Jorge. And those were the three large questions. And we do have just a little bit of extra time. I would open it up if anyone around the meeting space has any additional questions for Jorge. Now would be the time to ask those. And if not, Bob, go ahead if you had.
I do have one quick one. Just to expand a little bit on the financial security, of seniors giving financial security that would allow them to remain in their homes longer. Things such as maybe drug prices, what can we do maybe to help with out-of-pocket expenses for prescription drugs. Things such as the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, things like that. Just do you have any thoughts on those types of things?
I'm glad you brought up prescription drug prices. That was something I meant to bring up and I forgot. I think that's a very important aspect. Again, it's all about lowering costs, because these costs are going to be passed along to families. They're going to result in, they're going to drive down wages. I mean, these are all, it's a multi-factor problem. Prescription drug price is going to be huge. SNAP program, again, I don't think anybody would be against supporting feeding our elderly. I think most people have a problem when we're investing in those programs for people that are young and healthy. I know certain groups maybe would say that. Again, it's just, I think it's redirecting the conversation so that people know that, hey, we're forgetting a whole group of people here in favor of this conversation about millennials and younger people.
Right. Thank you.
Great. Bob, did you have an additional question?
I just kind of a follow-up on Susan's earlier question about paid leave and respite services. And would you be for or against anything in like the state of Nebraska if they were to develop a regulation to provide for paid leave for caregivers? And things like the retirement programs to be set up for caregivers, caregiver tax relief.
Sure, I would be for anything that makes that job more competitive and incentivizes people to go and do it. And I think it's, like I said, I think it's a type of career that should have those benefits because it's an important job. I mean, I don't think anyone can deny the importance of that job right now during a global pandemic when the most vulnerable population lies squarely in the AARP's demographic, you know. And of course, this is not counting pre-existing conditions and things like that. Age is not the only factor, but I think we've seen the importance of having, you know, proper care and proper policy among our, you know, our nursing homes, especially. I mean, look what happened in New York. Look what happened in some of these other places that just got it wrong, and it led to a lot of deaths. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great career, and I think we should boost it. That's what I think. That's what I think about that.
Great. Thank you for your thoughts on that. And as we're getting to the end of our time here, Jorge, I definitely appreciate your time coming with us today and visiting with us. But before we do exit the conversation, I want to give you the floor back to offer any final minutes of closing thoughts or comments that you might have to leave us with.
Great. I really just wanted to thank you all. This has been a new experience for me, and I really enjoy getting prepared for these, and I learned so much from engaging in these conversations. I'm not an expert on the AARP. I really want to learn more. I was on your website this morning, the national website, just looking at what issues the organization has gotten involved with, and I think it aligns very well with what I'd like to see. You know, with prescription drug prices, with you know, just creating a more affordable way to take care of our elderly folks. I really worry about how our young and even the millennial generation is going to pay for their parents to take care of them. I saw my parents take care of their parents, and it was quite expensive, and my parents are doctors. It shouldn't be a problem for them, but it was very difficult even for them. And so I've been in several nursing home facilities and assisted living facilities in and around the Omaha area. And so I know how special the workers are, and how respected they are, and how important it is to keep the residents comfortable and happy and healthy. I hate to see what's going on right now with everybody being isolated and not able to see their family members. I know that it has really enhanced the decline of a lot of residents, and so it just highlights the importance that a role that these facilities play. I would hope that I could be an ally to the organization and to our elderly population. I have a great respect for the generations that came before us. It's not something I can say for a lot of other people in my generation, unfortunately, and younger. And I want to really change that. I really want to bring back an appreciation for our elders and for the generations that paved the way for us. The last thing I want to be is unappreciative of their contributions. So that's kind of like a high level thing, but I mean, it's just something that kind of bugs me nowadays, to be honest. Other than that, I mean, I really appreciate your time. Everything if I can be a resource, or if you need anything else, please let me know. And yeah, stay safe, and everybody have a great rest of your week.
Great.
Thank you
so much, Jorge, for your time and again visiting with us. We wish you the best on your campaign, and thank you again, most importantly, for meeting with the AARP today, representing the 50+ population. With that, I will close the meeting off. Thank you.
Good to meet you, Jorge.
Yes, nice meeting you.
See you guys.